with the very people that founded this center. I'm so happy to see you all. Last week, Dr. Bob spoke about loving yourself. So this is step one in the spiritual journey. We cannot possibly begin to understand how to love others if we don't love ourselves. We have to spend time in contemplation, thinking about what are we? And I like to think that I know when you're struggling to understand I am God in human form having this experience. A lot of us struggle with that concept. And the struggle is we get these thoughts that pop up. You know, the bad mistake you made, that faux pas, that time you did something or said the wrong thing. That stuff keeps popping up. And what that is it's just the ego. The ego is popping in there saying, hey, don't forget the time you did that. The ego is all about creating separation. And love, oneness, is all about healing that separation. So the ego says, I want to stay in power. Don't you go down that path of oneness. So I have a little exercise to start you off with. One, take out your pointing finger, point it at yourself, and repeat after me. My name is God, but on earth they call me John. Exactly. Remember that. My name is God. Whenever you're going places, my name is God, but on earth they call me whatever. And it's interesting to me, the first step of spiritual mind treatment is going to God, right? Whenever we're going to God, we're lifting ourselves up to that higher level of consciousness. We're lifting ourselves from what's going on at the physical level, what's going on the streets. There might be some common language, everybody's getting the flu. Or nobody can afford gas, you know. And if you want to buy into the ain't it bad, you stay down here. And David Barrett calls that the law of averages. You stay down here having a law of averages life, creating from this space down here. When if you were to go to God, as in spiritual mind treatment, or I am God, I'm going to meditate, I'm going to lift myself up and visualize what that looks like. From up here, you will create something that will help you get through whatever's going on down here. It may give you a different view of what's going down here, a different perspective. I think that's what Doug Moody was speaking about a little bit in his practitioner piece. Do any of you follow Paul Selig? I'm just curious, besides Richard and me. He was our guest speaker or our keynote speaker at the Affiliated New Thought Network conference last year. He's an author and the latest, greatest person doing channeling, and he's on like book number 10. And you can follow him on Facebook, and he downloads, the books. He does it live on Facebook, so you can watch, or you can wait till the book comes out and read the book. But interestingly, he said, as an author, this is the one time the books don't need editing. They come out perfectly. And he has this thing where he talks about the verse from the book of John, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And then there are all these meditations I like to do, I like to share, with Word, I am Word. And that's each of us, Word, I am Word. And that's just a way of doing another exercise to help you understand your divinity and to uplift yourself. We all have to remember that we are God having a physical experience in this form, but yet we're all connected. I think God is doing just fine. So if I'm pointing out, I'm looking at Barbara, but say I'm pointing out Barbara's doing something I don't agree with. No, God's doing just fine in Barbara, right? Whatever she's doing, she's in front of me. We're connected. We're here together. We're meant to be together. There is a Science of Mind meditation from Ernest Holmes on attracting friends. And if anyone is wanting to work on that, I invite you just to close your eyes as I read this to you. And it's on page 557 if it's something you want to look up later in your Science of Mind textbook. I am never alone. I am never lonely, for I have as companions and friends those people who are drawn to me by the ever active and immutable law of attraction. It is not enough that I profess to love people, for I must really love people more dearly than I've ever loved before, because all people everywhere are my family. I do not outline who shall be my friends and companions, for there is no desire to coerce, compel, or suggest anyone. I trust implicitly the law of attraction to bring into my environment and atmosphere friends and loved ones, and establish me as a community of interest and helpfulness. Loved ones establish with me a community, as I love and cooperate with my fellow humans, so do they love me and give me their cooperation. The law is motivated to work for me by the love in all people, and so it is. I did a Course in Miracles exercise the other morning because I've been doing this for a year, and I'm not here to promote A Course in Miracles. I'm a nerd, and I study all oneness teachings. Next year it might be the Tao. But this particular day, the mantra you were supposed to say over and over and over throughout the day was, I seek to see the innocence in people and nothing else. And I wrote a note out beside it in case halfway through the day I forgot what it was about. And it was, you can have a grievance or a miracle, but you can't have both. And so I have a mindfulness timer on my phone. And I set this one for every hour because I knew seeing the good, the God in everybody is more of a challenge right now than at other times. So I set it for every hour. And I stopped every hour and I did the mantra. I see the innocence in everyone and nothing else. And about 10 o'clock that night, I turned it off and went to sleep. But by the next morning, I woke up. I guess this had soaked and percolated in my brain and my consciousness. And I woke up the next day and I was able to visualize everyone going all the way back through my childhood, everyone who had harmed me or wronged me or just pissed me off or rubbed me the wrong way that I had a hard time being with in the same room. I was able to see all of them as innocent. I was able to see the God in all of them and understand they are clothed in this physical, going through their experience based on how they're creating and how their home life created for them before they were, booted out into adult life, and how they continue to create. So that was major for me. There are a lot of us that come from this lineage right here, the Kennedy Schultz lineage, the Raymond Charles Barker lineage. So I'm talking Paul Gagne, David Barrett, Bob Dean, myself, Tony Crepoliccio. And we were all taught not necessarily to go out into the world and change the world. We were taught to change our own consciousness, do your own work. And in fact, when I was coming up, when I was a student, I was told we asked, well, why aren't we helping the homeless? Why aren't we doing these other things? And I was told by other people in the church, you can't help them because you can't change their consciousness. You have to work on yourself. Well, I can tell you for myself that didn't work. And you guys know I've been out there working with the homeless and rescuing dogs and doing whatever speaks to me ever since. But you don't have to go out and shake and scream and march and get out of control, lose your centeredness with protest to do good. You do better by not losing your centeredness. You do better by staying in the higher level of consciousness. But you can send them money. You can give to causes you believe in. And you can do those things that you believe deeply in. You can get on boards that work with organizations that help the homeless. AG&T, which is an organization, and I forget what the A is for, but the GNT is the Global New Thought Network, is an activist organization, and they are working closely with CSL right now. And they are working with all the other New Thought organizations out there, including the affiliated New Thought Network, which I'm an employee of. And they are pushing social activism, and they're coming up with classes that you can teach in your center that deal with a lot of these issues. So CSL is encouraging their centers to get a little bit more involved with that. And we're going to talk about how to do that in just a little bit. Right now, CSL has a World Day of Service once a year. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that or have heard about it. And what they would like to do is to encourage the centers to have a monthly day of service, maybe on a Saturday, where the community comes together and then goes out and helps a particular organization somehow. I was on a Zoom call about 2 weeks ago with a minister out of Texas, a Unity minister, and she was speaking on the call to peace. She has all the peace studies, all the statistics, and she said there are about 8 million people in the world, and that it only takes 1% squared of that population to change the consciousness. So what she's saying, it only takes a small group of people to change the consciousness of a larger group of people. That number is about 8,000 people meditating for peace. You can cause peace all around the world. So you can see with the right motivation, a few people can do a lot of good. She said if one of those people stop meditating, crime statistics will increase in their particular area. But overall, it doesn't take a lot of us to change the planet. And she was one that had to go down to Uvalde when that massacre essentially occurred in a school. And she said she had to get herself together because she popped up pissed off. And she had to stop herself and get herself together, get herself centered, get herself up to that higher consciousness before going out there. Richard, who is here today, was my mentor into homeless ministry. Richard impacted me in that he wanted me to learn everybody's name that we worked with. He wanted me to treat them with respect and kindness. And in the beginning, I was a little bit scared, and I'm introverted anyway, so I'm going to stand back. But once I got to know them and know all their names and learn all about them, hear their stories, I became very wrapped up in their lives and helping them. And from my science of mind perspective, which Richard didn't have, he just wanted me to do this. I knew that if we held them up here, if I treated them with respect, with loving kindness, called them by their name, brought food that I know they liked. We had a vegetarian guy. We would cook for him. I made him vegan meatloaf, bring clothes in a color that a woman, has shared with me that she liked. Black shoes for a guy that always worked in a kitchen. I would always find out when people's birthdays were, and I would go to Whole Foods and get a ornately made cupcake and bring it to them, and we would sing to them. So when we would do those little things, we're lifting them up here to this higher level of consciousness. We're showing them that they're loved and that we believe they're worthy of love. We believe they are deserving. I had one guy say to me, "John, why are you so good to me?" And I just leaned in because there were people everywhere around us. And I said, "Because you're a perfect child of God." And I use that language because he understands that language. But what I'm saying is he is God in human form, right? So that's holding them up here at the higher level of consciousness. Our practitioners, when they come to you for a treatment, they are going to do the treatment and they're going to hold it up here for you, meaning they're going to do that treatment every single day, at least for a month. When you engage a practitioner, that's what they're doing. They're going to treat for you daily, 30 days. And they're going to hold you way up here. And the goal is within that 30 days, you're going to get up here because there's one mind. You're going to tune in. You're going to be lifted up to what that practitioner is saying about you, what that practitioner is affirming, and you're going to pick it up and you're going to carry on with it. And at that point, when the practitioner knows you've got it, they're going to back off and let you have it. So as I worked with the homeless, doing my best to lift them up here, I was doing exactly what a practitioner would be doing in Science of Mind. And I pieced that together on my own as I worked with them. Jesus surrounded himself with 12 disciples, whom he taught to go out into the world and continue the work of elevating consciousness by feeding the poor and healing the sick. All 13 of them did their work individually and collectively out in the communities that they visited. And in the Good Samaritan, we have a story from Luke. And one of my teachers said, throw the entire book of Luke out. It's just too fantastical. But, and that was John Shelby Spong, who David Barrett insisted we study with. He said, there every now and then I come across something really beautiful in the book of Luke. And I'm like, that's worthy of keeping. That particular story. So he has the Good Samaritan story. This is a guy that's beaten and robbed on the street. He's stripped of his clothes. I guess people stole his clothes and all of his belongings and left him out there. And a Jewish priest comes by and walks on by, maybe not wanting to get caught up in whatever that is. And then a Levite comes by and avoids the man. And finally, a person from Samaria comes by and helps him. And so while it's easy to feel overwhelmed with the conditions of our world, the world we're in right now, we have many ways in which we can engage. There are some more directions. I'm going to come back to the many ways we can engage in a minute. There's some more directions from Jesus from the book of Matthew. And these are really instructions to his disciples, but it sounds like he's just speaking. And he says, "For I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you took me in. I was naked and you clothed me. I was sick and you looked after me. I was in prison and you visited me." He said, "The king will reply, 'Truly I tell you, whatever you did for the least of these brothers of mine, you did for me.'" That is a scripture I took with me when I was doing a chaplaincy internship through CSL at the prison system. I went to a prison in Gwinnett. I picked the one that was closest to me because I'm lazy. It was nearby. And when I got in there, I was very much surprised. I was with a group of ministers. Most of them are evangelicals. The evangelicals have the prison system sewn up. They're already in there right now, and they're pretty much in control. And they were doing gender identity classes for us to teach the ministers how to work with trans people. And all of them were going on and putting down the transgender people or the gender questioning people. And it was really, they pushed every single button I have. They were just setting me off. And finally, I did a Sunday service with the minister, the Pentecostal chaplain, and he had all the people that were feeling bad about themselves. And mind you, they're putting them down the whole time they're there. He had them all come up, throw themselves down on the altar, and prostrate themselves before God. And it just was more than I could take. I was like, heaven forbid, let's uplift somebody, please. And I said to him, you've heard the scripture, whatever you do to the least of these, you do to me. Surely you've heard this scripture before. And he said, well, we hate the sin, but we love the sinner. And I said back, well, that's just another excuse to treat them poorly and to treat them with prejudice. So needless to say, I felt the pressure to leave. They didn't invite me back. I stopped going because I knew I wasn't fitting in. I wasn't going down the path that they wanted me to go because I was busy arguing for the transgender community. So I wasn't taking up the mantle and doing what I was supposed to do. And I knew that that was what was best in that system. Now, have any of you heard of the Moses Code? This is one of my favorite things in the world. There's a documentary out about it. You can probably get on Netflix or Amazon. So in the Old Testament story, the mythological story about Moses, where he walks up to a bush that's on fire and the bush starts talking to him. And we know he didn't just get back from a peyote experience in South America, right? This bush is burning and Moses says, well, who are you? And the bush answers, I am that I am. And if you read the Hebrew text, I am. The Moses Code is from scholars that have been looking at that. And they put a comma after I am that, comma, I am. And that changes the whole sentence structure. This goes into oneness. This goes into the metaphysical mirror that you carry with you each day as you go through all you're going through. Everything you got to do that day. A grocery store is a good place to see some of everything, a broad spectrum. So you go to the grocery store and you walk in through the flowers section and you see someone buying a dozen roses for someone else. It's a very loving, there's love involved there. And so you say to yourself, I am that, I am. You see love, I am love. You continue through the store and you see someone being polite to another person. Say, I am that politeness, that kindness. That's part of who I am. You continue through the store and you see someone thanking, say, a cashier that's checking them out. Thank you, have a good day. I am that I am. Next, you see someone who's very disconnected. Perhaps they've got the phone going on. And they might even be checking out and not speaking to the cash register person or anyone. They'll be talking on their phone. I've seen people do this, not even tuning in to what's around them. But what that is, there's a fear of connection there. I am that too. I am. You might see a person being rude. A rude person may cross your path, being rude to someone else. Guess what? I am that as well. I am. You might see a parent being short with their child. They're irritated. They got to get through, and the kid's just, grabbing all the boxes and having the best time ever, which always makes me laugh. The poor parent. But you are that person losing their patience as well. That's the I am that I am as well. So trust that those people are not on your path by accident. There's a law of attraction always at work. We teach about the law of attraction, and it's not just to use when you're doing your affirmations. It's something you see working in your life all the time, just like that Ernest Holmes treatment about bringing friends into my life. That is always at work. There's nothing we can do to change it. Jesus had a quote, "Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself." So this is about loving others, seeing others in these human suits, having a hard time knowing God is within. David Barrett taught me a phrase, everybody in this room, everybody wherever I'm going, already loves me, whether or not they know it. And I think Kennedy Schultz used to use that phrase before he would go out to the bars. And that's where David got it from. They already love me, whether they know it or not. I've used that to break social phobia going into situations I didn't want to go into. You might see people that you can spot a mile away that have a different political agenda from you. You can see them coming a mile away, and you can say this affirmation, everybody loves me already, whether they know it or not. And you're able to have a conversation with them. I used it once with a Jehovah's Witness at my door. I thought, as I was going to the door, I was disturbed. I was in the middle of my work. I was ready to throw her off the front porch. And I opened the door and I said, I'm a minister already. I have my teaching. And she said to me, I'm just trying to do my ministry. And that touched me because I know what that feels like. I know exactly how that feels. And I said, oh, okay, well, do your ministry. I'm here to receive it. And so I was able to do that with her. I have friends that are from the opposite political party as myself. They're good friends. They do good work. I admire them. I respect them. And so I make a point of asking when a point comes up that I don't understand, that they are all about. I ask them to explain it to me so I can understand. And who knows, maybe that might change my mind. So it is important to not live in a bubble and to get out there and to be open to different perspectives. It also helps you know what's worth arguing over. You can't change someone's mind if they've got a very solid reason for what they believe in. And so that takes that off the table and it frees you up. So Vance, are we at the end? Okay, because I have pages. I can keep going. So your assignment, should you choose to accept it, is to have a conversation this week with someone you care about and respect that has a differing political view, and have absolutely no agenda as you go into that conversation. Your only agenda is to listen and to hear them. Your assignment, should you choose to accept it, is to be open to volunteering in an area that you personally are passionate about. Not my area, your area. There's something within you that you are passionate about, and there's a reason you're passionate about it. Because if all of us follow our passion, we can make everything happen in this world, and there'd be no need for social programs if every single person followed their passion. I have some suggestions. Grady has babies that need to be rocked. If they don't get human contact, they'll come out with dissociation disorder. And a lot of those children end up on the street and then in our prisons. You have a chance to stop that. Foster families need weekend respite from the kids. Take a kid for a weekend. You can deliver old towels and newspapers to the Humane Society. You can pay for the people behind you at the Starbucks drive-thru. You can give a gift of $2 or $5 to a homeless person on the street without ties. That means no judgment. You give them the gift. They do with it what they want. I've had too many people say to me, I won't give them any money because I'm certain they're going to do drugs. Well, guess what? Not everyone on the street's looking to do drugs. You can also go back to what all of us were taught in our lineage and hold consciousness. Go into contemplation for whatever topic is on your mind and know that it doesn't take that many people to uplift and shift the world. And that is our lesson for today, and so it is.